Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a highly detailed and, frankly, pretty mind-bending source document known as the Scientific Indictment. What we're going to do today is a full, impartial, biological, and thermodynamic audit of the exact blueprints that the authors claim are being used right now to build self-sustaining cities literally miles beneath our feet.
So, let's start with a massive engineering hurdle. How exactly do you hide a full-blown nuclear reactor and an entire city 3 miles underground? Well, the source material points out the sheer physical impossibility of just sealing 50,000 people and a gigawatt nuclear reactor under solid bedrock. It's a huge existential bottleneck.
To really anchor the stakes here, you have to realize that ambient temperatures at a depth of 3 miles are already naturally around 130 degrees Fahrenheit. If you introduce the immense waste heat of a gigawatt nuclear reactor inside what is essentially a perfectly insulated thermos made of solid granite, the environment would reach a lethal 200 degrees within just days. It basically turns the entire base into a giant sealed slow cooker. Not good.
To figure out how they supposedly solved this, here's our agenda for today. 1. The subterranean crisis. 2. The biological furnace. 3. Supercritical water oxidation. 4. Hijacking the aquifer. And 5. The immortal fortress.
All right, Section 1. The subterranean crisis, the existential bottlenecks.
The text outlines that these proposed deep underground military bases, often called DUMBs, generate astronomical amounts of heat through small modular reactors. But heat isn't the only problem. A population of 50,000 elites would also generate a crushing 2.5 million pounds of biological waste every single year. To put that into perspective, that is roughly the weight of 3 fully loaded Boeing 747s just sitting there underground.
Breaking that down, every single day, 100,000 gallons of toxic black water and gray water are produced. If this waste is just left to rot in sealed holding tanks, the buildup of hydrogen sulfide and explosive methane gas would rapidly asphyxiate everyone in the base. And you can't just pump it to the surface, right? Because that would immediately create a visible footprint for anyone looking.
Which brings us to Section 2, the biological furnace, CRISPR-engineered bacteria. To deal with all that waste, the source points directly to U.S. Patent 10,125,380b2. This patent details a synthetic, weaponized microbiome that's been specifically engineered to digest waste at unbelievably accelerated rates. According to the authors, this represents a sort of biological software, allegedly funded by programs like ARPA-E, and it's designed to run massive, industrial-scale subterranean bioreactors.
The core mechanism powering this biological furnace relies on methanogens. Now, these are natural, ancient microorganisms, but the text claims that through CRISPR genetic engineering, these bubbling vats of microbes are explicitly designed to survive the heavy toxins, harsh chemicals, and pharmaceutical runoff of a mechanized city. Normal bacteria would die, but these thrive without the colony collapsing.
Just contrast our normal, slow, smelly, surface-level sewage treatment with this hyper-metabolic, closed-loop underground system. Up here, we rely on oxygen-breathing bacteria. But down there, breathable oxygen is a premium commodity. So this anaerobic system requires absolutely zero oxygen. It processes everything super fast and literally turns the city's biological waste into highly pressurized combustible biogas.
Moving on to Section 3, supercritical water oxidation, the ultimate purifier. So, what happens to the remaining toxic heavy metal sludge left over from that biological furnace? According to the authors, it's completely annihilated using something called supercritical water oxidation, or SCWO. This is a process originally pioneered by the Department of Defense to destroy nerve gas. The text highlights U.S. Patent 4338199A, which uses exotic Inconel superalloys to contain the reaction and prevent catastrophic stress corrosion cracking. Basically, it stops the intense heat and pressure from instantly shattering the metal pipes.
The physics at play here are just incredible. They take ambient heat from the nuclear reactors to pressurize the toxic sludge to 3,200 psi at 705 degrees Fahrenheit. At this specific supercritical threshold, the extreme pressure and heat literally shatter the sludge's molecular bonds. It turns deadly poison back into pure, distilled drinking water, CO2, and nitrogen in mere seconds.
Tying the biological furnace together, the resulting biogas from those microbial vats yields roughly 60% methane.
This gas is then scrubbed and fed directly into plasma pyrolysis units to help power the city. It's a completely closed loop where the biological waste of the elite inhabitants literally keeps the lights on. It is the ultimate, extreme version of off-grid living.
Okay, Section 4. Hijacking the aquifer, the thermodynamic firewall.
Now we have to address the heat problem. In thermodynamics, a 1 gigawatt electrical reactor generates roughly 3 gigawatts of thermal waste energy. That means 2 billion joules of heat energy per second, which is enough to constantly melt tons of solid steel, must be perfectly dissipated, and more importantly, perfectly hidden from enemy early warning spy satellites.
The text asserts that the solution lies in a material called titanium grade 7. By alloying standard titanium with just 0.15% palladium, the metal becomes virtually immune to crevice corrosion. The authors claim this specific, highly advanced material is used to build massive radiators that will sit in hot, highly saline, deep earth brine and absolutely not corrode for a century.
To utilize these radiators, the source material theorizes something wild. They claim that classified shell and tube heat exchangers, exactly like the ones designed for Seawolf-class nuclear fast-attack submarines, have simply been taken, buried, and plugged directly into massive, pristine, deep-earth artesian aquifers. Think of it like a massive car radiator. You have glowing hot, highly radioactive reactor pipes and freezing, pristine aquifer pipes weaving together inside a massive titanium block. The heat transfers flawlessly through the seamless titanium walls. But here's the key. The liquids never actually touch, so zero radiation mixes. Then, millions of gallons of boiling but 100% radiologically clean water are injected miles away. This perfectly swallows the nuclear thermal signature into the Earth's crust.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the immortal fortress, the Ouroboros city.
This brings everything together. The entire base operates as a unified, zero-waste loop. They use those CRISPR-engineered bacteria to turn human waste into pressurized fuel. Supercritical water oxidation completely crushes toxic sludge into sterile drinking water. Deep aquifers absorb that apocalyptic nuclear heat. And because of this perfectly contained loop, absolutely zero thermal footprint escapes to the surface.
As the source material powerfully concludes, we're not talking about simple concrete bunkers waiting for a crisis. These structures are entirely severed from the surface world. They are operating as, and I quote here, immortal, self-eating, self-sustaining mechanical ecosystems.
And that leaves us with a really profound question to walk away with. If the precise metallurgical, biological, and thermodynamic blueprints for these immortal subterranean cities have existed in the public patent record for decades, what else is humming silently in the dark, fully operational, just 3 miles beneath our feet? Thanks for joining me for today's Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.